Look, the truth is, people are claiming that your clicks from traditional organic search is going to drop by 50% by 2028. That's a lot of traffic to potentially lose. And when you look at the data is showing that zero-click searches are increasing. Almost 60% of searches now cause no click. But there's one silver lining here. Because of AI, people are using search more and more. When Google released their stats previously, they said there was 8.5 billion searches a day. Now on Google, today, there's over 13 billion searches a day that happen. And it's increasing. But it's not just Google where you can get traffic from. There's also a rise of search on the social web. So for example, on TikTok, according to Adobe study, people are looking for new recipes, music, do-it-yourself tips, fashion advice. All these things really matter. And you're seeing social search becoming extremely popular. And I have some data on this. But it's not just social search. Another area of search that's improved over the years is AI. Look at how people search on ChatGPT versus Google. More people are starting to use ChatGPT percentage-wise for informational and navigational-based searches. Right? It's actually with ChatGPT, sorry, it was more informational. It's almost all informational. With Google, there's a nice even blend. But if you look percentage-wise, Google has 8 times more transactional searches than ChatGPT. That's where the money is. So people are using ChatGPT mainly for informational searches. But Google still remains the king. Look at how satisfied people were with the information they got from different search platforms. Google's still the top, YouTube's the next, which Google owns, and then you have a whole list of other properties. But even though companies are losing traffic, there's no need to panic. The new metric for success is actually revenue growth. See, in marketing, too many people obsess about things like followers, impressions, clicks. But you don't hear enough people talking about things like revenue. And even my own internal marketing team, they used to talk about clicks all the time. And a few years ago, I said, guys, we need to stop focusing less on traffic and less on revenue. So what happened to our traffic? Naturally, it went down. But even though our traffic went down, our revenue went up 3 times. And it just shows that there's many ways to do marketing that can drive results, like brand awareness. See, one thing that's helped us drive a lot of revenue is our brand is getting mentioned everywhere. Think of it as the new version of television advertising. When people see commercials on TV, they're not getting clicks, but they're getting brand awareness. Another example of brand awareness is getting ChatGPT to mention your product, your service, your business. And here's the example. ChatGPT mentions my ad agency NP Digital all the time, and that is driving revenue. On top of that, we looked at over 80 factors, 82 factors that's causing ChatGPT to mention a website. And when we looked at the factors, one of the main ones we saw was brand mentions. The more times your brand of your product, your service, your company is mentioned on the internet, the more likely it is to ChatGPT to recommend you. The next one is relevancy. When someone asks ChatGPT a query, like related to headphones, they're more likely to show brands like Apple AirPods because that's very relevant to headphones. So the keywords need to match your product and service. Then you have reviews. How many reviews are on your products or services on the internet? Are the reviews positive, negative? How old is a business? Another one is authority. The more authoritative you are in the space compared to your competitors, the more likely they are to mention you. And then you have recommendations. Someone releasing an article or a social post recommending your product. But even with people and companies focusing on brand mentions, when you get visitors to your website, you still want to make them count. Here are the ways, the psychological triggers you can use to convert more visitors into customers. They like social proof, but scarcity and urgency works better. They love money-back guarantees, and gamification works quite well. In addition to that, colors can impact conversions. Don't take these colors as the end-all be-all, but take them as a starting point. You want to test your colors to make sure that you're maximizing conversions. So this brings us to the million-dollar question. If traffic is being affected because of AI, how can you survive in today's world? Well, I'm going to break down 7 ways that you can adapt. And this is from data that we're seeing across the web. So the first one is strengthen your brand. Did you guys know that 1 in 3 Google searches is for a brand? A brand being Gmail, YouTube, Neil Patel, Tony Robbins. These are all examples of brands. Neymar, he's an example of a brand. With brand building in marketing, they call it the rule of 7. When someone sees or interacts with your brand 7 times, they're much more likely to buy from you, evangelize and tell all their friends about you, and leave positive reviews. The way you touch people 7 times is you take an omni-channel approach. You do SEO, you do advertising, you do email marketing, you do social media marketing, not just on TikTok, but TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, right? YouTube. You do text message marketing. You go to in-person events. These are all examples of the rule of 7 in marketing. The second thing you need to know is search is changing. If you look over time, when we're comparing the years from 2013 and earlier to 2014 to 2023 and 2024 and beyond, we're seeing people type in longer and longer search queries into search engines. Because search engines these days have a better understanding of what our article means and how to showcase it to a user based on what they search on. Not necessarily do the keywords need to match the page. They have a better understanding of comprehension because of AI, and they understand what you mean when you type in keywords, and they understand if that page, that search result, will match what you're looking for. A great example of this is Todos. We worked with them on improving the number of long-tail queries they're going after, based on all the data we're seeing on how Google search results are changing. And it helped them increase their blog traffic by 82%, right? If you adapt with the trends, you can actually counteract the traffic declines and get more traffic. The third thing that you want to keep in mind is Google wants specific content formats. If you give it to them, you're much more likely to do better. The big thing on this chart that you should look at is they really want to show more videos and images. Text is still important, but if I were creating content in today's world, I would start with video first, because then you can take that video and transcribe it into text. You can then use AI to translate and transcribe it into multiple languages like Portuguese. You can then even take that video that may be an hour long and cut it up into short 60-second clips for social media. This is why I would start with video first. It allows you to adapt to all the platforms out there with ease. You can even take a video and you can strip away the video and just keep the audio, and now you have a podcast, right? Starting with video first is more efficient. And if you don't want to be on camera, you can use tools like HeyGen, create a virtual avatar, and create videos by text to video, all through AI. Number 4, focus on creating authority. Google has something called E, expertise, experience, authority, and trust. And this chart breaks the factors down for things like experience and expertise, and authority and trust in the factors. Like, they want detailed content. They want content that's updated. They want no misleading information. They want you to double check your facts. They want you to have brand mentions on the internet. How often is your company getting mentioned? The more it gets mentioned, the better off you are. The less you get mentioned, the worse you are. See, these platforms believe in one thing. When someone has a brand, they're less likely to create false news. So it's really important for you to get those brand mentions. And the way you do that is you create valuable content. And the word valuable differs from person to person, but there's one thing that's in common. According to Search Engine Journal, over 4.6 billion pieces of content are created each and every single day. In 2 days, that's enough content for the world's population. We don't have a problem with content. We actually have too much content. What we need now is not more content. We need more new content. What can you create and talk about that no one else has heard about or read before? That is what AI can't do. That is what people want from you, your company, your brand, your marketing. That's what you need to focus on to do really well with E. And we started doing that with a brand called OLX, leveraging the E concepts. And it worked well. 153% increase in total organic traffic, 152% growth in top 3 keyword rankings on Google. It shows you the value of E. These strategies work, not just here in Brazil, but globally. Number 5, you want to turn zero-click searches into opportunity. Look, no-click searches are roughly 60%, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't optimize for search. When people search, they see your brand. When they see your brand, that helps with the rule of 7. 7 interactions, they're much more likely to purchase, evangelize, leave reviews. And when you're consistently shown at the top of search results, people will look at you guys as more of an authority. It'll help with your revenue. And when you look at what channels have zero-click searches, the number keeps going on, which brings me to number 6. You look at organic social media. Hard to get clicks from organic social media, but that's where a lot of people first heard about a brand. Same with referral traffic. See, the blue bars represent how people heard about a company. The orange bars are what cause a conversion. So a lot of people hear about a company through referral traffic, but it doesn't cause a conversion right away. A lot of people hear about a company through organic search and organic social media, but it doesn't cause a conversion as much as paid social or paid search. Does it mean organic SEO and organic social is bad? No, you have to do it. If you don't do it, less people will see you. They're less likely to eventually buy your product when they come through some of those other channels. In essence, marketing has turned to an omni-channel approach, where people interact with your brand on multiple channels before they buy. And not just multiple channels. Some people visit your website on a cell phone, and then they visit your brand on their computer. Then they go back to their cell phone, open up an email that you sent, and then buy. It really is becoming an omni-channel approach. And number 7, optimize content for discovery across multiple platforms. According to Sprout Social, the average person uses 6.6 social networks per month. When you start getting on more than 5 platforms, you start seeing the ROI increase. You don't have to be on 6 or 7, but we see 5 to 6 platforms causing a higher ROI. Now, you don't have to create new content for each platform. You can repurpose and use some of the same content because they all take the same format. And if you follow these 7 strategies, even with AI and search trends changing, you can still do well.